What is going on, everybody? Back for week 12, talking all things NFL as always with Money Badger Jake at Money Badger Bets on X.
Hey.
How was your week 11? Because I had a great week from a sides perspective. Props were like more or less break even, but ended up being a pretty solid week. But Jake, how was your week 11?
Sunday was not good. And then I won it all back on Monday. So I swept the board on Monday, went 3-0. I had Ferguson to score. That was a nice plus 175 cash. I had the under of that game, which was 49.5. So that safety brought it to the hook. And then I was sweating the rest of that. But yeah, pretty much a break even in the NFL for me. Maybe I went down like zero point 0.1 units, but I'll take that any day of the week, honestly.
Absolutely. No, it's all in the game. Gonna have some losing weeks, gonna have some winning weeks. And if you're gonna have a losing week, it's gonna be down 0.1 units, and that is probably the best case scenario.
Yes, sir. Got waxed on college football, but this is an NFL stream, so we don't have to talk about that.
Exactly. We'll talk some CFB maybe closer to like playoff time, but for now we're sticking with, of course, the National Football League. Everybody's favorite thing to love and favorite thing to hate at the same time. It's funny because I was talking to like one of my group chats and we were talking about how like they were talking about how like people are like always going to be like, yo, like the NFL sucks, but like, why are you going to talk shit? You're going to end up watching it no matter what all Sunday long. And I am that person. I'm the guy who's going to be like, screw the NFL. I hate it. These games are so boring. These teams suck. But bet your ass every single Sunday, every single Monday, every single Thursday,
Yeah.
I'm going to watch every single snap of every game. And I have fun complaining about it at this point. It's part of the shtick to a degree. But, Jake, we have a interesting matchup on Thursday. Houston Texans hosting the Buffalo Bills. Davis Mills era still in, still going on as, unfortunately, CJ Stroud is still in that concussion protocol. We've seen a bit of movement here, of course, with the CJ Stroud news. As you can see here, the line opened up at 3.5, and I think that was a number where, because Stroud's been in the protocol, where they were maybe anticipating Stroud to play. And then once it was ruled out, we saw 5.5, and then now we're seeing 6, some 5.5 still in market. Did touch 6.5 for a minute, as I'm seeing here, but was really just sitting at 5.5, 6. Last week, Jake, for me on the Texans front, I talked about how I was interested in the Texans at 5.5, 6. I ended up not betting it. It went to 5.5 pre-game, and that's where it closed, if I'm not mistaken. As we see right here, as Houston ended up not covering against the Titans, as they won the last-minute field goal. But long story short, Jake, we had a conversation about our thoughts on how much CJ Stroud is really worth compared to Davis Mills, and we had Tennessee coming off of a bye. Also, you always have the division nonsense. Now I take on Buffalo, who is coming off a shellacking of the Buccaneers, but in a game that yes they covered, it was a closer game kind of throughout than maybe it seemed for the final score there. But this is an interesting one. Buffalo, of course, like on the fringe of that playoff picture. Houston finally coming back on the fringe of that playoff picture. Basically, must-win games for both at this point. Where's your head at on this Thursday night AFC showdown?
Yeah, you said it best. I think they're must-wins for both of them. I actually have 2 plays here, and I didn't want to sit here and try to overthink this. This is a Buffalo team that is good on offense and bad on defense, and a Houston team that is bad on offense and great on defense. So immediately I went to the under. I locked in the under 43.5 at -105. I was able to get that on, I think it's on MGM or Hard Rock Bets. It was earlier at -105.
Yeah,
it's that simple, though. I think – and Buffalo's offense is good. It's not like they're great, like next level good, like unstoppable type of good. And this Houston defense is really an elite defense. Like I think they're probably the best defense in the league overall right now. So I think that they can give Buffalo problems. At the same time, I'm not bought into the whole Mills tenure. Obviously, even with CJ Stroud, I still would have looked at an under. It's not like this Houston offense has looked great this year, or like honestly in their last 20 games, I would say. So I definitely like the under. I also locked in Buffalo on the first half spread at -3.5, even money at MGM. As good as this Houston defense is, I do think Buffalo can come out hot here. And it's a mixture of Buffalo coming out hot and like me not thinking Houston's going to be able to score much. Houston defense also hasn't seen a good offense since they played Seattle over a month ago. Their last 5 games were Tennessee, Jacksonville, Denver, San Fran, and then Seattle. So other than, and it was in that order too. So not trying to knock the Houston defense by any means. They are elite, and I'll stand on that. But they're going to see a Buffalo offense that's much better than what they've seen the last 4 or 5 weeks. So I think that that might hit them in the face early on, a combination of that and Houston probably not being able to score. I like that first half -3.5 a lot. I could see this being like a 10-3, 7-3 first half, super low scoring. But that's where my head's at. I might lock in a prop or something tomorrow before kickoff or later tonight. But those 2 are officially locked in for me.
Yeah, and you made some points that I'm glad you brought up because I was in a very similar line of thinking overall. Because again, looking at who Houston has played, they haven't played a gauntlet of teams by any means. Of course, this Baltimore game was with not even Snoop Huntley, with the other guy, Cooper Rush. Seattle, the best team they played, smoked them. This game was much that wasn't 19. They scored points on defense to make it closer to 19 there. And Houston, I was looking at as you were speaking, Jake, they've scored 20 points 4 times this season, and that's with CJ Stroud. One of those times, of course, was actually with Davis Mills. So they scored, but either way, they scored 20 points, just 20 points 4 times this season. And Buffalo's defense is not great, but Buffalo's offense, of course, is one of the best. And what they do well is run the football, as we could see here on Outlier. Buffalo first in rushing yards per game, but Houston third in rushing yards allowed on defense. But Jake, this to me now has gotten to a point because I can see this game going in a couple of different directions. There's a couple of different stories I think I could tell with how this game ends up breaking down. I can see the story of Houston can't score, Buffalo's offense just being greater than the defense of Houston. They win the game 24-16, and they cover the spread. They don't look amazing, but Houston scoring 20 is a really tall task. Look at who they scored 20 against. San Francisco, whose defense we know is horrible. Baltimore, when they were demolished injury-wise. Tennessee, who's Tennessee, and then Jacksonville with that last-minute magic and that crazy game overall. But that being said, Jake, I actually have come to a conclusion, though, and this is one of my best bets of the week. I'm betting the Texans +6. I was hoping to see if we got a 6.5. Didn't happen. I'm going with with Houston +6, one of my best bets of the week. And to me, this comes down to the fact that while the only really great competition Houston played in Seattle was able to beat them handily, obviously Josh Allen's better than Sam Darnold, and the Bills' offense is up there. But I think that the Seattle Seahawks are a better coached football team. For whatever reason, Joe Brady and the Bills' offense, they just refuse to shy away from the run and let Josh Allen be Josh Allen. And when you want to beat Josh Allen against the Texans, who have one of the best defenses, if not the best in football, it's not going to be as easy as being Josh Allen at home against Tampa Bay. So I think that this matchup is actually better suited for Houston. And yes, it's going to be a race to 20 points. But if Houston could score 20, I don't see Buffalo scoring more than 24, covering this. And then I would, of course, have Houston covering the spread. Now, again, Houston's getting to the 20-point mark is going to be a pretty tall task and not something that I could bank on. But with that being said, I do feel pretty comfortable taking the home team +6. I think also, and Jake, we had the same conversation last week, which I led up to this game talking about the Davis Mills Stroud in 2025 matchup wise right now. When did the market move from 3.5 to 5.5, even 6? I had a buddy who I think is pretty sharp texted me, and he was like, I'm surprised it didn't go to 7.5 based on Mills and Stroud. But to me, I don't think that gap is that big. And I spoke about it last week. I'm speaking about it again. I don't think the gap is really much bigger than 3.5 to 5.5. I think at this point, it's closer to just 1.5 points, and 6 being a pretty key number in the NFL. I'm taking the home team +6. I like the Houston Texans.
Yeah. And I mean, I agree with what we said last week too. I don't think it's that big of a difference. I don't, with CJ Stroud or Mills in there right now, especially against the Bills defense. It's not like the Bills have some juggernaut defense that can even stop super elite quarterbacks. It's like anything can really happen. And usually I will side with the points if I like an under, especially if it's 6, 7, in this position. I have to stand on my Bills first half tick. I do think that they're going to come out, and Houston's not going to be prepared to stop an offense like this just because they haven't seen it in a while. I think they definitely wake up to it, but which I don't want the Bills to go and hang 30. It definitely doesn't help my under, but yeah, we shall see. Time will tell.
Yeah, and my last piece of handicap on this one is just like the Buffalo Bills defense is very poor at tackling, and they allow like big play guys to like make big plays. And like the Texans, Nico Collins is the dog. Woody Marks is showing some really great things, hard to tackle. Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, the two rookies they have, are playing really good football. And let's take a look at some of the injury stuff here, just to get a final like look overall. Of course, Tank Dell's been out, Joe Mixon, but like outside of like their usual suspects, I saw Jalen Petrie being out for a safety on the defensive side is a pretty solid injury for their defense. But this is like a situation of like a bad running defense against a bad O-line. It's like who's going to be the one to cave. And because of the talented skill players that Texans still have, Dalton Schultz, etc., I think that Houston will be able to like actually put up some points against Buffalo. And I think they are a relatively live underdog, but I'll take the 6 points here at home and go from there. But that's a big first game from Jake and I. Jake liking the under of 43.5. I'm liking Houston +6, and Jake also liking Buffalo first half -3.5. But let's keep ripping. We're done with international games finally, but now we have to talk about the Bears and the Steelers, a little interconference matchup. Also, Jake, the Arthur Smith Dennis Allen Bowl. This was, if you remember, in Atlanta with Jameis was supposed to take a knee, did not. They ran it in, and then that was Dennis Allen and Arthur Smith, the two coaches who were chirping back and forth. And now Arthur Smith is the OC of Pittsburgh, Dennis Allen, the DC of Chicago. So a little bit of narrative.
Not those two together when I was looking at this game.
There's a little bit of a narrative street. Offensive coordinator for Pittsburgh against the defensive coordinator of Chicago right now. But right now the news is more so centered on Aaron Rodgers. Broke his left wrist or dislocated, something of that nature. Fractured, but to the point where not his throwing arm. It's a left wrist fracture. Didn't practice, but hopes to return Thursday, which would be tomorrow, of course. Says that Rodgers told reporters he's comfortable taking snaps in the shotgun, hopes to be under center Saturday this week. If he cannot go, then it will be Mason Rudolph going against this poor Bears defense, and we are in Chicago. Jake, 2.5 points. I'm thinking this line is, of course, kind of sitting in the middle here between like Rodgers playing and Mason Rudolph, though there is another question of how big of a downgrade is Rudolph to Rodgers right now. But do you have any thoughts on this money line total spread or player props in this Bears-Steelers game?
So I actually do think that Mason Rudolph is more of a significant drop-off at quarterback than Aaron Rodgers when we're comparing like a Mills and a Stroud. Like I think Mills and Stroud are more – and a lot of it is like chemistry-wise. I feel like Aaron Rodgers is good at creating that chemistry, the tempo, like pace of play, how he controls a game more of like he's a coach versus Mason Rudolph is like a player/kid in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it's going to affect the line that much. I'm going to lean towards the over here. I don't really have a strong opinion on either side or really on the over or under. It comes down to even if Mason Rudolph does play, like he's not terrible. He is a valid quarterback. Like what are we going to do? Weigh what he did in Tennessee last year? Like no one could do anything in Tennessee. They've went through 7 starting quarterbacks that have all sucked. So we can't sleep on the fact that Chicago's defense is just bad. So I do think Pittsburgh will have theirs regardless. I've been low on the Pittsburgh run game, but the Chicago run defense is literally bottom of the barrel. So I see Pittsburgh having some success regardless who's at quarterback. On the Chicago side, it's pretty evenly matched through the air, but I think Chicago is going to be able to run the ball all over Pittsburgh. So I think both of them are going to have highlights on the offensive side. I think 45 is a little bit low, but not low enough for me to pull a trigger. I have a decent amount of plays locked in, so I don't want to force this.
Yeah, understandable. I'm looking at some of the full season metrics here on Outlier. Like passing yard defense, the Steelers are actually last in football. And, Caleb Williams, for as honestly, I think bad as he's been overall, he is doing a good enough job to, maintain this offense, get them, moving the ball and is, winning football games, of course, as the Bears are currently in first place in the NFC North, which is one of the biggest fraud things I've ever seen in my entire life because they're winning all those turnover battles and they're obviously just not a great football team whatsoever. But this is an interesting line to me, 2.5. I think it's fair. I think if somebody said to me, like, with strong conviction, like wrong team favor, like I think it should be Pittsburgh, I wouldn't really like have a rebuttal. But that being said, because we're seeing 2.5 at like even money, makes me think that if anything, this line is going to 1.5. It's not going to get up to 3. Now, if I'm getting a 3 -110 on Pittsburgh, I'm taking that all day, every day. But based on how the market's shaping out, I don't think that's going to be the case. We'll have to kind of wait and see on Rodgers, which is the theme of some of these games on quarterback injuries, a little bit of wait and see action. But No, Jake, let's have any props. I honestly can't move on. I don't have really any stronger takes on this game either.
Yeah, I'm just shocked to see Bears at a 7-3 record, man. Like them and Denver. I know sometimes you go back and forth on Denver. It's just so hard to look at those records and be like, damn, how are they? I wouldn't even consider them that elite, but like the Bears literally have a shit defense. How are they 7-3? Like
turnovers, man. Their
pisses me off.
turnover margin.
Yeah.
The fact that they're not turning over the football, as you can see, they're first in turnovers per game, 2.2 turnovers forced a game. And on offense, only turning it over 0.6 times, which is tied for second in the National Football League. And in a league that is predicated on variance, and turnovers are things that are straight random and are not repeatable, things that you can like price in and like count on. It's just going to happen.
It's the little things that matter, you know, like everyone is a professional in this league. If you shoot yourself in the foot, listen, I'm a Dolphins fan. I've been seeing it all season. So things are not going to go your way when you make mistakes and you don't take care of the ball or you're not helping your own cause. And the opposite is going to happen when you are taking care of the ball and you're making smart decisions and you're causing turnovers and you're winning the third phase of the game. So
absolutely. Those the margins here.
I have to bring up the Dolphins at least once here, Eric, because, you know, they're on a bye. So I had to throw my little jab at them while I could, you know.
Jake's Dolphins on a bye, my Canaris on a bye, so that means no monologue.
Good week, baby.
Jake and we could stick to more football and get some emotions out of some of these. But let's keep ripping here, Jake. Vikings Packers, a big game for the NFC North. You know, Minnesota, of course, still in the mix here at a 4-6 record. Packers 6-3-1 after a performance against the Giants. I did a betting Giants money line. And, you know, no regrets, honestly. You know, Jameis was due for a turnover. Obviously, it was going to happen there on the final drive. Packers, though, still do, you know, cover the spread of 6.5 if they did win by a full touchdown after that Jameis INT to end it with the Giants driving in the red zone. Then you have the Vikings, who lost to the Bears. They were in position to win that game, but then it came down to a field goal, and the Bears clutched up once again this season to, you know, sink the Vikings. And all the talk is about how bad J.J. McCarthy is. And if I'm not mistaken, Jake, was there news? Okay, Wentz is on the IR. So, long story short, J.J. McCarthy is horrible at football. That is like, I think everybody is in agreement that as of November 19th, 2025, J.J. McCarthy is not a good NFL quarterback. Now they're going against Green Bay. And again, a must-win game for realistically both of these teams for the division at least. 6 points. Do you think 6 points is fair, too little, too many? What's your thoughts here?
I don't think it's enough. I think Green Bay wins by a touchdown. What I do think was interesting was what the Giants, did they close at 7 or 7.5? Basically a 1 point difference than Minnesota. So it just goes to show like how poor Vegas and everyone thinks of Minnesota and JJ McCarthy to go off of your whole, you know, he's not a good quarterback type deal. And I have Justin Jefferson in one of my fantasy leagues. Like, I hate to see it more than anything. But I do have a best bet here. I did take Green Bay -6. I got it at -115 on Hard Rock. I know there's a lot of 6.5s out there, but I saw the 6, locked it in immediately. Minnesota's not going to be able to throw the ball, and maybe they could run. Minnesota's had a good run game all season, but no one can run against Green Bay. They're great at stopping the run. And then on the Green Bay side, I think they're going to be able to throw the ball all over Minnesota, despite their struggles in their last 3 weeks. They're still a top 6 passing attack right now. I think that they should have smoked the Giants. They were really beating themselves. It's funny we were just talking about that, but like, how many times did Romeo Doubs have to drop the ball like right in the middle of his chest, right? They're getting stupid penalties. It's funny we just talked about like how shooting yourself in the foot could really change the verdict of a game or an entire season. They did it and they still they still won by 7 and covered. Jacobs being hurt is obviously not going to benefit them on the offensive side of the ball, but I think Green Bay is going to have the willpower to win by at least a touchdown, maybe more. I think this is their big get back game. They've been a little shaky the last month or so, you know, like even the wins that they've had, they haven't been too dominant. The losses they have, the offense hasn't looked great, but it was against good opponents. So it's like, this is their time against Minnesota, a divisional opponent that isn't great, that is on their home field. Like, let's see a nice little blowout win. I think they win by at least 10 plus here.
No, it's a pretty great call. But like, this is what's concerning me right now is on the Packers injury front. You have one of the longer injury reports I've seen in a long time, a CVS receipt, as we'd say. Edgerrin Cooper, their potential all-pro linebackers, questionable. Romeo Doubs, questionable. Matthew Golden, questionable. Josh Jacobs, questionable. And all those guys did not practice today. Also,
I'm pretty sure
Elton
Josh
Jenkins.
Jacobs is out. I think he's. Did he get ruled out today? I don't know. I saw a whole bunch of notifications.
At 155, so maybe he did get ruled out later, but as recently as 155, questionable.
I handicapped this game assuming he wasn't going to play. So,
okay,
but yeah, the injury list is a little fat there.
It's very fat because then we even go down to Keyshawn Nixon, a cornerback return man, Barker Parsons with the pec questionable, Zach Tom, another O-lineman, Lucas Van Ness, Quay Walker, Christian Watson, Tavian Wicks. That is quite literally their entire core. I just went to Underdog quickly to see if there's any confirmed outs that I'm missing. But, of course, injury reports came out today. There'll be more reports tomorrow and Friday, of course, to see what actually goes down. But, without Tucker Kraft, of course, who is out for the rest of the year here, Green Bay's offense could be, dealing with some things that they haven't had to deal with in a long time because they've been, relatively healthy. Obviously, Jayden Reed's been out from the get-go, but, having 6 of your top 7 weapons on IR, even if JJ McCarthy can't throw at all, somehow was in this game against Chicago, somehow in this game against Baltimore, beat the Detroit Lions. So the JJ McCarthy nonsense, he's bad at football, somehow makes games close. How? The world may never know. I have no strong opinion here. Honestly, I got to maintain this look on the injury report here. But we can keep ripping to arguably the game of the week. At least definitely one of them, scrolling through quickly of the games. Pretty fair to say, definitely the top 3 games of the week here. Chiefs Colts. So I'll say our Chiefs just for last week because Jake, I know you're big on the Chiefs. They obviously lose outright. I bet a bunch of just stupid money line parlays, Chiefs for the last leg that were there to win it and close it out. Of course, they didn't win anything, close out anything. they lost. And I do want to just say quickly, Jake, I know that I glaze Mahomes often on this show, but I've never heard worse glazing in my life than Tony Romo on the broadcast on Sunday. Every single thing he said was just deep-throating Patrick Mahomes, and honestly, I was like, I bet I sound annoying because I'm a big Mahomes believer, big Mahomes supporter. I, sing his praises in many cases, but that was one of the most annoying broadcasts.
No worse than Chris Collinsworth, though. That dude actually, he wouldn't. Kansas City's not even playing in the damn game, and he would be like, "You want to know the only person that can make a throw like that? It's Patrick Mahomes." I'm like, dude, shut up. He's not even. He has a bye this week. Come on, bro.
No, it's funny. I just wanted to say that because maybe it's the recency bias, but I was sitting there listening, shut the hell up.
Now you know now you know what the show sounds like when you're talking about him.
With that being said, though, Jake, something has got to give because right now the Kansas City Chiefs are 5-5, and because of their losses to Los Angeles Chargers, to the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Chiefs to make the playoffs now, it's actually in jeopardy. I think the reason why you and I were on them and why I'm sure probably a lot of the consensus was on the Chiefs last week was because something we haven't seen since Mahomes had been a starter. And I think we were all a little bit spoiled from the Tom Brady era because, of course, Tom Brady never missed the playoffs, or if he did was injuries, or even when they got injured with Matt Cassell, they made the playoffs. But with that being said, Jake, this is now it's past hit the panic button. It's the reality is they're probably not making the playoffs, and now they play the 8-2 Indianapolis Colts, who Daniel Jones now is taking, I want to say 12 sacks in the last 2 weeks, looking a little bit like the DJ of the
taking the words right out of my mouth, Eric.
of the Giants. But I'll pass to you now because this is obviously a massive game, must win for the Chiefs. Colts would obviously cement themselves even better in the AFC playoff picture if they win. Chiefs are still laying 3.5 though. This is even money here, so maybe there are some threes out there. But Jake, talk to me.
Yeah, well, I'll start with last week with the Chiefs. I remember on this show specifically 1 week ago, I had them locked in at, I think I had -3.5 or minus. I don't know if it was, I think it was -3.5.
It was 3.5. It was 3.5.
Yeah.
That's where it sat all week. I don't really think it closed.
That's the thing. And I was sitting here, I put 1.5 units on it. It was my favorite play of the week. And then I was like, I might even put more on it as the day. This might be a 2.5 unit play for me. Thank God I didn't end up doing that. But to be honest, the market scared me away. I was like, how is this not 4.5? Not that I would want a worse number, but I was like, nothing is moving in Kansas City's direction. That always puts a little yield sign up there for me. So that's a damn shame, but it is what it is. Sometimes you just have you can love a play, everything's pointing one direction, and like it just doesn't hit, and that's football. But in this specific game, Indy's also coming off of a bye here, so on paper they should be able to throw the ball on Kansas City. Now, you just said it, and I'm going to reiterate it. Like, is the old Danny Jones back? In the last 2 games, he's had all those sacks. He only has thrown for 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, a 76 quarterback rating. And this is versus Atlanta and Pittsburgh, who, like, they're no world beaters when it comes to defending the pass. We just went through Pittsburgh. Atlanta is definitely a bottom-tier pass defense. Now, with that being said, I still have faith in Daniel Jones. I'm not going to sound the alarms because of a couple bad games and just because I know what he did on a terrible New York Giants team. But I do think Indy's going to be able to run. Indy in that front 5 with Jonathan Taylor, they're really, really good, and I don't see Kansas City stopping it. On the Kansas City side, it's really a must-win for them. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lay 3.5 with Kansas City just because I was just down that road last week, and I'm not going to hang my hat on like, oh, it's a must win for them when everything else is really pointing towards Indy with me, who's getting points. In my eyes, Indy's the better team right now. So I would lean Indy plus 3.5. I did not take anything there. Obviously, games like this, you want to find something. You really want to get to one side or a total or have some action in it. But this is just going to be let me sit back and watch this game and enjoy some football. So nothing for me.
Well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the Colts plus 3.5.
All right.
14 at Caesars. I think this is absolutely one of my best bets of the week is Colts plus 3.5. As you mentioned, Jake, they're coming off a bye week. And yes, Daniel Jones has been looking like the Daniel Jones that is haunting all Giants fans. We're still talking about the number 1 scoring offense in football, one of the top red zone efficiency offenses in football, one of the best rushing and passing offenses in football. And yes, the Chiefs are going to get exotic with their blitz packages. We know Steve Spagnuolo does it. He is going to throw the house at Daniel Jones to get pressure like he did at Bo Nix. And, they did well defensively all in all. Like what was that final score? How many points? They let up, 22 total points. It's not like they got shelled or anything here. It was that that red zone pick that Mahomes threw on a play. He did not need to force, and just some poor offense. And just like so many things in the National Football League, especially during the regular season, come down to, Jake, it's going to come down to coaching. Of course, the Chiefs are, I think, inarguably the best coached team with Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo. That is the best duo. But Shane Steichen and Lou Anarumo are absolutely in the top 3, if top 5. I'm, rattling off here kind of, ad limb, but I do believe that they're one of the best defenses. And you can't forget, Lou Anarumo was the defensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals. And when the Cincinnati Bengals beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and every time they played in the regular season thereafter, where the Bengals did have a lot of success against the Chiefs, the game plans that Anarumo put together were honestly fantastic. And I think that that's going to carry over now to a team, which we've seen all year with Indy, which is why they've been so good also. If their numbers aren't popping off the screen, it's because the Bengals had that terrible talent with Anarumo, but he still elevated them because he was such a good DC. Now he actually has very talented players, and he still has that same scheme, and he's actually, able to have a better system in place with better football players. We're still talking about the best offensive football, talking about one of the better defenses, better defense coordinators in a situation, again, where he's actually had a pretty solid upper hand against Mahomes. And you have the extra rest in the bye week going for Indianapolis. Of course, playing an Arrowhead is always a tall task, but we're getting arguably at this point the better. I can't even say they're the better team because I still think the Chiefs are a top 3 team in football, regardless of record and how these 1-score games have panned out for them. But I think that situation wise, coaching wise, and rest advantage wise, I'm taking the team with 3.5 points without even thinking twice. One of my best bets, absolutely, Colts plus 3.5.
2 things, Eric. One, something that helps a struggling quarterback is a good run game, and Indy happens to have the best one in the business right now. The second thing is I saw this graphic earlier this week, and it had to do with the Chiefs last year in 1-possession games going into this year. Last year, they were 12-1 or something in 1-possession games, 10-1.
And this year, they were 7 between the last 2 seasons. They were 17-0 or some shit like that.
Yeah, well, maybe it was just that was including. Oh yeah, maybe it was. They were 10-0 or something. I don't know. And this year they're 0-8 in 1-possession games.
Yeah, it's
Something
that's
like
goes
that.
back to what we were talking
1 and
about, Jay.
8.
That's the variance. No, they've yet to win. They're 0. I mean, you can literally look
0
at
and
it right
8.
now. They are in one possession games. They
And they're 0
are
and 8.
0-1. Yeah, 0-2. I'll take it for granted. Everyone, if watch it on streamer, you can quickly do this while I go and quickly, honestly, bet this. So I'm
Yeah.
loading it up right now on Caesars. I checked the odds to make sure that it was available on Caesars. I'm betting it as we speak right now.
The one possession games: Denver 0-1, Buffalo 0-2, 0-3, Jacksonville.
0-4 Philly, 0-5 LAC.
Yeah, it was more than that though. It was like 0-8. I wonder. I wish I could pull it up, but I saw it way earlier in the week. No way I'm going to find it.
No, I mean, like I think at this point, I've
Still,
seen like
a tale of two stories there. Two total opposite sides of how the last two seasons went for them.
But that's football. And if you remember when the Vikings made the playoffs, I think it was 3 years ago, they had like a 14 and whatever record, and they had all these amazing one-score games, and the Giants beat them out in Minnesota. That is, again, just showing you how football, even the Patrick Mahomes, if you get so accustomed to him being that like great equalizer, that like regardless of the one-score game, because he was so good and their coaching was so good that they were going to be the ones to come on top, it's just not a guarantee. And now we're seeing it in real time. People like me have to tuck their tail between their legs a bit because of all the, how I've talked about for a minute, how I think the difference there is because Mahomes is the one who's making it so they win these games. End of the day, it's just human, man.
Yeah, yes, we think.
But in agreement overall that the side is probably Colts plus 3.5. But I went on the record here. I am that's card worthy, betted, one of my best bets, Colts plus a 3.5 in Arrowhead. So let's keep ripping. We have a bunch of best bets locked in already. So hopefully we didn't give them all out at this point here.
Got a couple more.
Love that. Bengals, Patriots. So Joe Burrow. What was the report exactly? Joe Burrow
took 11. Was a full participant in practice today. Oh, yeah, you got it right there. Go ahead.
11 on 11 reps with the first team offense Wednesday, but Flacco is dealing with a shoulder. Now the Bengals at 3-7, obviously at this point, season's OVO XO. Burrow even said, I think it was 2 weeks ago when they were talking about potential return, he did mention that it would be record dependent. He didn't say it like directly, but he kind of like hinted at it, which makes sense. Like if the Bengals are if they lose this game, he doesn't play, they're 3-8. Like why is Joe Burrow going to force himself back for this season? Patriots, they don't stop winning. They are on a crazy, I think it's an 8-game win streak. So I'm just locking in the Texans bet. On a crazy win streak, do not stop winning football games. Drake May, of course, the talk of the town, MVP leader in the clubhouse. And now on the road, we're at the point where on the road, the New England Patriots are laying over a touchdown, even though we know how bad Burrow. Jake, 7.5 points for the Patriots. Is this warranted at this point, or is this finally like the overreaction week after all these W's?
I think it's warranted. I mean, they are a very well-rounded team. They're well coached. They have a great quarterback. They have a pretty good defense. Like, I think it's well warranted. Now, I actually have a play in this game. First of all, I do think New England's going to be able to throw the ball all over Cincinnati. You don't have to be a genius to know that. Now, Cincinnati might be able to stop the run here. Obviously, their defense is bad, but this is where New England has struggled. They haven't been good at running the ball at times, so I could see them getting a couple stops on the ground here with the Bengals side. And then I think Cincinnati is going to be able to throw the ball too, whether it's Joe Burrow or whoever's at quarterback. I'm guessing it's going to be Burrow or Flacco. I also saw that he was projected to come back for the Thanksgiving game. I believe they play on Thanksgiving next week. So I'm pretty sure that was the goal. But you also look at their division. I mean, they win this game and Pittsburgh loses, they're really 2 games back. So it's like, it's record dependent, but it's also not like Baltimore has the division basically in their hands right now, or anybody does. So I wonder how they're going to pull this Joe Burrow card. New England has struggled versus the pass too all season, and Cincinnati's been slinging the rock regardless of who is at QB. So I think both of these teams are going to throw the ball and have success in the air. I also don't think Cincinnati is going to be able to run the ball for the life of them. They have been much better in the second half of the season. They were terrible on the ground to start the first part of the season, but they've picked it up there. I just don't see them having any success versus New England on the ground. Their run defense is elite. I actually have a best bet here on the over of 50. I got it at minus 110 at Bet365. I think we see a lot of throwing. I think Cincinnati's defense is not good. New England's going to pretty much have their way there. With all this throwing and lack of running, I also think there's going to be stoppage on the clock, a decent amount, resulting in lots of points. So I think we can see a lot of points. Also, Jamar Chase is out. I understand that. Yeah. But if they're going to be losing all game, which I'm expecting, they're going to have no choice but to throw. So they also have decent skill guys other than Chase. Obviously, he's a huge factor. He's arguably the best player on their team. But yeah, I think lots of throwing, and the number being so high, obviously Vegas agrees that there's going to be points scored in this game. So locked in the over at 50.
Yeah, glad you mentioned that you think Cincinnati will still have success in the air, like Burrow or Flacco, because I do agree, even without Jamar Chase, like this Patriots defense, like they're not this elite 2000s Ravens, like amazing defense. Like, yes, their run game has been great, but like all the talk is the easy schedule. And look at this right here. It's enough said about who they've had to go against from a defensive standpoint, from a quarterbacking standpoint. Of course, obviously that great game against Buffalo, all in all, who they always play tight. But, you know, moral of the story is, like, yes, like this defense is not like impenetrable by any means. And without Jamar Chase, like you said there as well, Jake, like the Bengals still have skill players. That's always been the joke, the meme, like Penei Sewell, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow upright. Like we've seen that happen in real time since the draft, realistically. And yes, that means Joe Burrow gets hurt and gets hit a lot. And Flacco is obviously a statue in the pocket, but it also does mean they still move the football pretty efficiently, as they do have a good offense, except on the ground. No strong take for me here. I think that this is going to be like just general betting, like not like advice, I'd say, but like I guess my like thoughts on the Patriots. There will be a time, same like I've said about the Commanders, there will be a time where I'll bet on Washington against the spread to cover or even win outright at one point this season. It hasn't come yet. I faded them in 4 straight. It's been great. There will absolutely be a time where I fade the Patriots against the spread, and you might think that laying 7.5 on the road, even 7 on the road, could be the time. I can see why it's not the time, but I know before the regular season ends, there will be a time where I am betting against the New England Patriots. I'm not talking about week 18 if they have the division already clinched or anything like that. The time to fade New England is upon us. It's not this week, but it will happen. And I have no other real thoughts here, Jake, on this one.
I 100% agree with you, though. Like, they're definitely not winning out, and they're going to have a bad loss. Like, I could see them losing to the Giants in 2 weeks. I could see them, they got a couple other hard games, though. Then they play the Bills, the Ravens. Don't see the Jets beating them, and then they play the Dolphins, and that is going to be dependent on who plays or if they have what playoffs clinched or not.
The Jets moved the ball on them. Tampa Bay obviously moved the ball on them. Even Atlanta moved the ball on them. So, like, again, this isn't this impenetrable team. Drake May doing MVP Drake May things. It's been awesome to see. But, again, pretty soft matchup for this week, which he's used to. We'll see moving forward. But, Jake, let's keep rocking here. Lions, Giants. Detroit coming off a loss to Philly on primetime. Boring, tight playoff atmosphere type of game. And then you have the Giants coming off the loss with Jameis under center as well. Though I did see Jackson Dart, technically questionable, in line to participate in Wednesday's practice. That was this morning, so I'm not sure.
They're better with Jameis. Let's be real.
Are they, though?
I don't know. Is there a big difference? Again, with the backup QB to starting QB notion, it's like
we had this debate 2 weeks ago. Or last week, I ended up betting the Giants. I left the points on the table, took the money line because I was kind of a debatable there. I think after seeing Jameis and like you talked about, Jake, the Packers botched so many times in that game. I don't think Jameis is good. I think at this point, while Jackson Dart still to me has like so much to show me before I say he's like this great quarterback or like the next coming or like the next guy, the new Josh Allen, whatever people want to say about it. I think at this point, Jackson Dart is an upgrade, but I don't think that necessarily matters regardless of who's playing against the Detroit Lions.
Yeah,
In
no, I mean
Detroit as well, which is massive, as we know how the Lions do in the dome on the turf.
yeah. We also called it with we basically said Jameis was going to play how he was going to play. We said that he was probably going to hold his own. He's like what he threw for 200 plus, kept them in the game again. Like part of that was Green Bay keeping themselves out of the game or keeping the Giants in the game themselves. He had his big time interception because he makes dumb decisions, but still covered. So like I feel like that's exactly how we drew it up last week when we were talking about that game. I don't think they're going to be able. The Giants are going to be able to run the ball here. I don't have any strong feelings either. I lean Detroit -10. I don't really like a 10.5, but yeah, this is typical Detroit. Come back home. We also spoke about how Jared Goff, have to give him respect playing on the road and outside. He really changed that narrative, but that was like the first away cold game against a good team that he played in. He looked like the Jared Goff that we saw the last 2 years on the road. But yeah, this is back in their wheelhouse. I think Detroit -10 is a good look. I think Detroit first half -6.5 is a good look, but I locked nothing in.
Yeah, so to me in this one, I think what it's going to come down to is like, back on my epic commies versus Lions rant where I said the commies are 20 points worse than the Lions, well the Lions do win by 22. So obviously, it was honestly, as much as I was being a bit hyperbolic, I was being dead ass, and it was actually what happened here.
Yeah.
The Detroit Lions are definitely more than 10 points better than the Giants, but what I think it's going to come down to from like a covering perspective, we've talked about it all year long, Jake. The Giants' inability to stop the run. Look at Giants 30th in rushing yards allowed per game, Detroit 7th in rushing yards per game. There's a very good chance that this game is just Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery running the ball a combined 30 times this game, aka clock's ticking, aka tough to win by margin. And I think that might actually leave the back door wide open for Jameis or Dart. Actually, particularly more for Jameis, who's going to be slinging it regardless. And I think that's going to leave the back door open. Lions winning by 17, 2 minutes left. They don't care. They sneak in a cover there. Definitely lean toward Detroit here. I want nothing to do with taking the Giants in this kind of matchup. But this is one where I'm just cautious with like the number because, like I said, like I think the Giants, as we've seen, even against like the Saints, obviously it's a different matchup here. But the Giants are a team where if the back door is open, I'm actually going to pause.
Try to walk right through it.
I was didn't want to catch myself saying something crazy there, but the fact is, like, they're a team that, yes, the back door is open. New York, I expect to come through the door. We saw it against Chicago. We saw it even with Green Bay. Like, yes, they didn't end up covering, but like they're at the 20-yard line trying to win that football game, and like if they score, they probably were going for 2, and they would have, who knows, lost.
100%.
Again, yeah, situation where in the Niners game, it's only a 10-point loss. But if you guys watch that game, they were getting smoked all game long. But what happens? Backdoor cover. Saints game getting smoked, put together a drive late in the game. The list goes on and on here. So
that's why the first half is probably, if I had to choose, I would take them to be up by a touchdown in the first half, Detroit. But yeah, like you said, it's just the number's too big overall. Too many other good spots on the board.
For sure. So let's keep ripping here. 2 more 1 p.m.s, and we got the 4s and the prime times. Seahawks Titans. This one, Seattle 13.5 after barely losing to the Rams in a game where Sam Darnold turned into Pumpkin Darnold, but against Tennessee, that's probably unlikely. With that being said, 13.5 points is a ton of points. But what we've seen from the from Seattle so far this season is like they take care of business against bad football teams like it's nobody's business. Obviously, Tennessee, the worst of the worst. Them moving the football against anybody is a miracle waiting to not happen because it doesn't happen ever. Jake, are you confident enough to like 13.5 on the road in the National Football League, or is this Titans like I'm getting 13.5 in the NFL for a home team? Like, give me that, or is this stay the hell away?
It's more of the stay the hell away. 13.5 is a lot. But Seattle should have their way on both sides of the ball. I don't see Tennessee stopping them. And then Tennessee did just lose Calvin Ridley for the season, which, like, if that even matters, it is one of their few weapons that they have. I actually lean Seattle team total over 26.5 here. Even if Tennessee does have the ball and puts together some drives and scores some touchdowns, it's not like they're going to be putting together those long drives. They're going to have big plays here and there. Maybe they have a defensive score or something. Obviously, we've seen Darnold in the past not be able to protect the ball, and that's Tennessee's defense. So I'm not bagging on that. I just think Seattle, even when they have the ball, it's not like they put together these long drives. They score long touchdowns. They have explosive plays. I think we see a lot of that. I think this definitely gets to 27 or more. So on the Seattle side. So that's the play that I would lean. Nothing's locked in though. So that's where I stand.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. The only way, and this is definitely like fishing, the only way I could see like Tennessee actually covering as their defense. Yes, these numbers aren't great, but like all in all, they're like not horrible. They're not the Bengals defense, not the Commanders defense, not the Dolphins defense.
All right. We talked about them already on this stream. Are we done now?
But where the Seattle Seahawks are vulnerable, and as we saw big time against the Rams, is the interior of their offensive line. And that's the one area where the Titans are still very good. Yes, they're poor in rushing, allowing rushing yards, but they're doing pretty well in the sack department. And Big Jeffrey Simmons is one of the best defensive tackles in football. With that being said, he is currently questionable. So if he's out, I don't see Tennessee having like any success. But if Jeffrey Simmons and co are able to get a bit of pressure to the point where they can force Darnold, who we know, into a fumble, into a turnover, short field, and then at that point, the Titans somehow do put together a touchdown drive, only going 30 yards, which even that point is like asking for, a miracle. Then maybe the 13.5 is too much. But again, we've seen the only time the Titans are really covering spreads will show it quickly, as everybody knows, against the freaking Chargers. They had a defensive touchdown and a special teams touchdown. Houston against Mills, bye week, and AFC South, it happens. Then the rest of this, a whole lot of red, no real covers whatsoever at any number. So I'm stay away from me here, but that's the one potential nice thing I could say about the Titans is if they can get some interior pressure, maybe they can force a turnover and maybe they can do a little bit of something positive. But again, that is a
the one nice thing, literally the only nice thing.
Only nice thing we could say. But let's keep ripping here. Jets Ravens. We touched upon the Ravens in the sense where, like, yes, they're not currently dominating anything. Lamar Jackson, though, popping up on the injury report again. But still, the Ravens are laying 13.5 against the Jets, who put up a bit of a fight for a hot
I think that shows that he's probably going to play.
For sure. Put up a fight, though, against the Patriots to a degree. Lamar did not practice with an ankle injury. But last week, he was not a participant last Wednesday due to knee soreness, but then practiced fully Thursday, Friday. So we shall see what ends up happening with Lamar. It's probably just precautionary for, like, why is he going to practice? Because we need him healthy on Sunday. That's all that matters. And they're playing the Jets, laying 13.5 points. Tyrod Taylor officially playing quarterback. And then again, let's play our favorite game. How much difference to the spread does the backup do to the starter? I think there's people out there that think that it's like a pretty big drop, like difference, as in like Tyrod is a much bigger improvement than Fields. Fields absolutely sucks, but like I don't think Tyrod Taylor is good at football. Jake, 13.5 points, man, in the National Football League at this point. Lang taking, to me, like I'll keep my bit plain and simple here. There's nothing I like in this game.
Yeah, no side or over under, but I do have a best bet on a prop. I took Breece Hall over 80.5 rushing and receiving yards at -115 on MGM. I actually really like this. I think, he's been efficient all year. Like, he is the only good part of this entire Jets team, I would say. And Baltimore's weakness is versus the run. Now, I know that I took rushing plus receiving yards, and I think a big part of that is the fact that he's averaging a little over 3.5 targets per game too. Like, they know we got to get this guy the ball if we want any chance at being a respected football team, obviously not franchise. I think he can easily get 50, 60, 70 on the ground, and then a couple through the air too. I think 80.5 is too low. He can rush for over 80.5 alone. So I think that's too low versus a Baltimore defense that hasn't really been great versus good running backs all season. I know that they were banged up, they were hurt, they had their injuries, but the numbers are the numbers. And one thing's for sure is Breece Hall is doing this against everyone that he's playing, and he's seeing New England and good teams that aren't stopping him, Cleveland. So yeah, I think over 80.5 rushing and receiving yards at minus 115 is a great number. I think on Hard Rock, he was already at like 83.5. So you can get 80 around there. Anything in the 70s, I love that even more, obviously. But I did lock that in, so it's official play here for me.
No, I love that. And I will say it frustrates me to all hell when Justin Fields just doesn't check down to Breece Hall. Like Breece Hall should be getting like 6 targets a game.
Tyrod Taylor will do it, and he will do it.
But so far with Taylor, hasn't been pretty for the rushing, receiving role. But with that being said, I think that this is the time to buy, because I think that at this point, like you said, a smart quarterback should be throwing the ball to your best player underneath, especially when you're going to be getting pressure from the Baltimore Ravens. And
especially that Baltimore secondary is pretty damn good too. Like, let these guys run them off and extend the run game and throw a little swing pass to Breece and let him make a couple guys miss.
Yeah, and I think that the Jets' path to success, even without Fields, of course, who can run the ball. That's how he gets all of his garbage time bullshit stats. Is still going to be to run the football. But with that being said, 13.5 points with the Ravens. I'm not trying to lay 13.5 right now. I don't think that it's too big of a discrepancy there, and I'm absolutely not betting on the New York Jets, who didn't even cover against the Patriots. I mean, it depends where you got the number. I think I think there were some 13s that closed last week, which covered, but 11.5 and 12.5 with New England cover. And now the Ravens, who I think, if I'm not mistaken, are even favored against the Patriots in that matchup on a look-ahead line, which of course can and will change. Saying that they're only 13.5 points. Now we'll see. Maybe this is like only 13.5 because we're still unsure about Lamar, and maybe they're calling Tyrod a bit of an upgrade over Fields, which is like, if he is, it's a point max, in my opinion, at least. But interesting market. Interesting market here. Jake, 4 p.m. games. We have one of the ugliest games. We have the tanking bowl, the Raiders and the Browns. The Raiders, of course, get smoked on Monday Night Football against the Cowboys. The Browns get beat by the who did they play last week? But regardless, they played 2 and lost last week, which I'll see in 2 seconds. I don't know why it's escaping me. It was Baltimore. I knew that. The Shedeur Sanders era is underway because Dillon Gabriel is concussed. It is confirmed by Adam Schefter that Dillon Gabriel is not playing and Shedeur Sanders is starting. Jake, what are your thoughts on what Shedeur will or will not bring to this Browns offense that obviously cannot get much worse because Dillon Gabriel was awful?
Dude, and that's the thing right there. Like, I think he's going to be able to play very loose, knowing a bunch of things. One, it's not like the bar is set high. It's like they have nothing to lose. It's hard to get worse than what like Dillon Gabriel was doing. Honestly, they were better off with Joe Flacco, but obviously that was a franchise move to have him start the first couple of games, get their young guys in there. He did look pretty bad on his first few drives. I'm not going to lie to you. He pulled it together a little more towards the end. He's using his feet, making smarter throws. And honestly, I'm a Shedeur fan, regardless of all the noise, and I do want to see him do good. I think he did get dogged in the draft, which was probably embarrassing, going late in the draft, getting prank calls for the first pick. Like, do you think that stuff doesn't play in his head when he has a big game like this where he could really shut a lot of people up? Now, I have no play in here. I don't want anything to do with this game. But I think a lot of people are going to probably throw shade on him. And they've been saying he's been overrated for pretty much his entire life now. And, like, listen, if there's any time to shut everyone up, it's here in your first start against a team that you can actually beat, too. It's not like they're playing the Patriots or the Chiefs or the Bills or, like, an elite team that's probably going to smack them. Like, he should be able to do a little something here in Vegas. It's not like it's going to be bad weather conditions up in Cleveland, snowing and raining and whatever it does up there. So, hope he does good, but nothing betting-wise. I probably won't even watch this. I'll just watch the highlights.
So Shedeur Sanders is minus 180 at Hard Rock to throw an interception. At FanDuel, minus 235. Passing yard line, the best available, as in like the highest number in this case, not best available as in like best price and the lowest, is 162 yards, passing touchdown. His over 0.5 is minus 155, so they are anticipating him to throw one of those bad boys. Pass attempts 28.5. Gabriel's was around 30, 33, so like not like too much leaning on the run game. Rush yards 19.5. He had 16 in a very abbreviated situation against the Baltimore Ravens. So, Jake, there are a couple of things about this game and about Shedeur Sanders that I need to say. The first thing is, this is absolutely a game the Cleveland Browns can win because the Vegas Raiders are so damn bad. Like, they are abysmal. Relegate them to the shadow realm. Put them below CFB. Make them play FCS football. Like, they're horrific. Myles Garrett is probably going to have 3 sacks on Sunday, and that's not even like a hyperbole. He's had like 2 5-sack games. Like, he's out of this world.
Yeah. I was going to say that might be lowballing it.
Honestly, I'll check what the price is right now if it's up yet. Because sacks obviously I'm not seeing it yet, but I'll be awning because I'm sure that was going to be like a 1.5 number minus 150 or something.
Oh yeah.
So this is, to me, from like a betting perspective, a worst case scenario, because if this was against honestly any other team in the National Football League except the Raiders and the Jets, I'm hammering the other side. With that being said, Jake, this is one of my best bets of the week. Las Vegas Raiders minus 3.5.
Wow.
Shedeur Sanders is as bad as he looked on last Sunday. If he is as bad as the reports are, because the reports out of Cleveland from the people who actually know is that Shedeur Sanders isn't bad because he's not talented or bad because he's a bad human being. He's bad because he falls asleep during meetings. He can't remember plays on the whiteboard when quarterback's supposed to be running through plays and understanding how offenses work. He is apparently one of the worst quarterbacks that they've ever seen, and that's why he fell in the draft. He didn't fall in the draft because of talent. He fell in the draft because he was apparently one of the worst pre-draft interview candidates in the entire draft process. So this is a situation where only because it's the Raiders and they're so bad that this is actually a matchup that the Browns can win, even if Shedeur throws for 102 yards with 5 interceptions because of the defensive line, the Browns could actually still win this game because the Raiders are that bad. But you will only get one chance to fade Shedeur Sanders laying 3.5 points. I'm absolutely taking that stab, and I'm absolutely alternate lining the Las Vegas Raiders. In my opinion, Shedeur Sanders has nothing to do with talent. It has to do with the right here and right now. As it stands on, again, November 19th, 2025, he is not an NFL caliber quarterback. Doesn't have the pocket presence, doesn't have the sack avoidance, doesn't have the intangibles, doesn't have the knowledge to be a good quarterback. Doesn't mean he can't eventually become a good quarterback. Doesn't mean he can't even win this football game. Absolutely best bet, especially the only time in your life you can only get 3.5 points going against Shedeur Sanders. So if he's as bad as he looked against Baltimore, if he has to start again, that line's minus 20. He's not even playing in the National Football League down the line. So give me Raiders minus 3.5, and let's do one of my favorite games on this show. Let's look at some alternate numbers because there's an opportunity. Again, because it's not like a situation where I think the team is so much better, where it's like, I'm getting the Commanders against the Browns, who obviously stink, and that even that bad, I would be like minus 20, lock it in. But this might be a situation again, Jake, where this might be the only time in your life you're fading Shedeur Sanders, only laying 3.5 points, and this 13.5 here at FanDuel plus 320. Add to the card, add the Raiders minus 3.5 to the card.
You should have a segment. You should have a segment called Alts with Eric.
You might as well take some plus chicken in these uncertainties. And if you think Shedeur is going to be a dog, you should be betting Browns alternates. But again, my take
on the money line. This is a good opportunity if you're a big believer on the Browns. You're also probably not going to be able to win another game if you don't win this one. Like this is your spot to have a nice juicy money line ticket. But I'm not touching it. Just watch. Honestly, not even watching it, like I said. But yeah, I mean, there's so much uncertainty. I didn't even know about that he can't even write on a whiteboard. Like, come on, dude. It's third grade.
That's the issue. The issue is not talent. He was a good quarterback in college. The issue is all the circus that comes with him, and then the inability to do the behind-the-scenes quarterback situation. So Raiders minus 3.5. Raiders alternate up to 13.5. If the Browns win, everyone's going to come at me and be like, Eric, you're dumb. He's a dog. I came out here and said the Browns could absolutely win this football game, but it's the combination of if I'm right, about how bad he is. Just again on this particular Sunday, not his career, not in the future. I'm talking about this particular Sunday. If he is that untalented as I think he might currently be now, we'll never see this 3.5 again, fading him, and we'll never. And then the alternate lines are going to be crazy. I will honestly, the first thing I did when I saw props come out was look at Shedeurs INT. That shit was minus 180, and I was like, okay, I was hoping for something a little bit better, but not one of my best bets. Raiders minus 3.5. I think it might be that bad from him, and if they do win, again, you could talk your shit to me, but I'm not out here saying, like, when I said Lions, Chiefs, whatever against the commies on my big alternate lines, I said there's no chance in hell. Then if I lost, sure, berate me, talk shit. And this one, I'm just saying, like, it could be that circumstance, and I'm going to bet it in case that circumstance is true. If it's not, I also don't think it's the end of the world. But I don't – if Shedeur Sanders goes out for 300 yards passing and 3 passing touchdowns, then yes, talk all your shit to me. If the Browns win 10-7 because Myles Garrett had 8 sacks, then the defense scored a touchdown, then no, shut your mouth. I'm doing it again next week, hoping he plays again.
Listen, Vegas has a guy on the other end too called Max Crosby. That's probably going to give him some problems in the pocket. So I don't see him throwing for 380 and 4 touchdowns.
Absolutely. But that's my rant of the day. No commie, so it had to come in a different capacity here. But let's keep ripping here. Got a couple more games to go through. Jaguars, Cardinals. Jags laying 2.5 in Arizona. Jacoby Brissett coming off an historic performance in a loss, breaking the NFL's completion record in a game where he was slinging and dotting and diming. But the Niners were too much for the Arizona Cardinals. Jaguars, why am I blanking what they did last week?
Coming off a great win. They
just smoked it out of the Chargers.
Yeah, the Chargers wasn't even
That's
close.
What I'm mad at that neither of us had in our cards because we both said, yeah, like we would take the points here. Little did we know it was a beatdown season.
Yeah.
But a 2.5 point spread here, Jake. What are your thoughts on this Jaguars Cardinals game?
My favorite play of the week is coming from this game. So let me give a quick rundown first, and I'll save the build up for afterwards. Let's see if everyone could connect the dots and see what my play is going to be. Jacksonville. They're not going to be able to throw the ball, in my opinion. Arizona has been good at defending the pass all season. Jacksonville still struggles consistently. Like, even if they have some bright spots here and there, like Jacoby Meyer isn't going to be the saving grace for them. They might be able to run the ball too. Tubin looked great, actually. Between him and Etienne, I think that their run game is really good. However, Arizona is not nearly as good as defending the run as they are against the pass. So I think Jacksonville is going to run the ball a decent amount here and see some success with it. On the Arizona side, yeah, Jacoby's coming off of – listen, that's very deflating. When you break records, you have a career day and you still lose, man. It's like, what more can you possibly do to win a football game? You're controlling your controllables and you're still losing. And like, dude, who is playing for Arizona? Their scout team on offense? Obviously, Kyler's out. We know Connor and Zay Jones have been out. Trey Benson. Now Marvin Harrison, he's ruled out. DeMercado, I'm pretty sure, is questionable or already ruled out. And then you have a Jacksonville defense that's good. Like, on top of all these injuries and this Arizona offense that, like, I don't think is going to have any success, you have a Jacksonville defense that is certified good. They're a good defense this year. Look what they just did to the Chargers. Like, if there's any question about, like, oh, are they good or not, they just shut down a Chargers offense who is very, very good. My favorite play of the entire week as of now is the under 47.5. I got that at minus 110 at BetMGM. I don't see either team being able to throw the ball. I think Jacksonville is going to control the clock. They do control the time of possession very, very well throughout this entire season. They're going to run the ball. Arizona is not going to be able to score against this Jacksonville defense. 47.5 is way too high. We're seeing 43.5s, 45s this week, and we have this game set at 47.5 with a Jacoby Brissett who's, I mean, his confidence, you could argue two things, and there's only two sides of the spectrum that you can argue. He's on a high horse because he's coming off of the best game that he's ever played, and is he going to do that again, though? No. Or it's super deflating because you're coming off of that great game. It's like scoring 60 points in an NBA game or in any basketball game, and then your team still loses. It's like, dude, what more can I do to win a game for my team? Like, it's very deflating. I'm going to go on the deflating side, especially against like a Jacksonville defense that I'm pretty bought into. So under 47.5, my favorite play of the week as of right now.
No debates for me. My only thing that I will say, I'll play some devil's advocate here just because I don't have like a strong side, just kind of pick your brain a bit. I know you mentioned you're big bought into the Jaguars defense, and they have had like some games where that is, understandable because they have, shut down the Chargers. They were absolutely killing them with the pass rush. They got smoked by Houston and Davis Mills, but again, like I do give some love to the divisional matchup there and some of the like a bit of more crazy shit happens in divisional games. Let up 29 against Vegas, dog water. 35 against the Rams, that's acceptable. 20 against Seattle. Like the defense has been has played well in spots, but in other spots, they look like the Jacksonville Jaguars defense that we come to know and love for the last decade and a half at this point. Are you really that sold that Jacksonville's defense is like that good? Because Jacoby Brissett, like, don't get me wrong, the Niners defense is bad, which is why Jacoby Brissett was capable of doing what he was able to do last week in that game, only putting up 22 points, but like slinging it. He wasn't just checking it down and dumping it down, getting some yak. He was moving the ball deep, intermediate parts of the field. You don't think they could do that against Jacksonville?
No, I don't think so. I think their road to victory would be more running the ball, and they're going to rely on Jacoby throwing the ball. I think the Jacksonville strength is the pass defense. So I'm also not like going back to my first point on the Arizona side, like who's he going to throw the ball to? I mean, or like everyone's hurt or questionable.
It is. It's a
and
tough
I
one.
think it is like a little. How often do we see a guy like Jacoby Brissett, a backup quarterback? I guess other than Joe Flacco, even though he's considered a starter, he's still like level backup quarterback to a lot of people. Not my opinion, but if he's on any other team, he's probably going to be a backup quarterback. That's what his role has been for the last couple of years. Jacoby Brissett's going to go throw for 400 2 games in a row. Like, I just don't see it. I just don't see it at all. But yeah, I think the number is way too high though, too. Like, it's different if this was at a 45 or 44.5, like 47.5. I'm also buying into the fact that Jacksonville's not going to be able to do much. So it's not only like me sitting here shitting on Arizona's offense being like, oh, Jacksonville's defense is world beaters. I think Jacksonville's going to put together a lot of slow drives. They're going to run the ball. They're not going to be able to pass the ball. They're going to milk a lot of clock. I think they're going to win the game. So they're going to definitely be continuing that pattern of let's run the ball, let's control the clock. And I don't think Arizona is going to be able to play catch up as well as they were able to last week, even though they ended up losing. But that's another piece that is Jacksonville's offense. Like, I don't think they're going to be able to score the ball. I'm not saying they're going to hang 30 and do whatever. So yeah, I just think the number's way too high, dude. I just think 47.5. I'm all over that under. And there's a lot of 47s out there too right now, I think. So I think it's going to move in my favor, hopefully, but 47.5, love it.
No, listen, this is one, like, we like to go on different sides. We don't do it on purpose, but like for the banter, obviously I'm rooting for your best bets to win because especially when I don't have a side. But this is one, Jake, where I might like the over, honestly.
Wow, all right. Let's
first disagree. It's been a minute since we've like really disagreed. And I don't really disagree, but like this might be one where I think I actually might like the over here.
Yeah, go for it. Lock it in right now. It'll be a nice little clip.
Would be fun.
So now you got to explain why you like the over so much then. To the point
because
where
I think Jacksonville's defense is frauds, and I think Jacksonville, like, they're not a slow, methodical team. Like, they're like Trevor Lawrence, sometimes dumbly, that's not even a word, but sometimes inexplicably, whatever you want to say, not like unintelligently throws the ball down the field, often a lot. So I think that if he does connect on some of those deep balls that are, he is going to be throwing, the Jaguars offense again, Tudor showing up now, who is a big play run potential. ETN has been having a great year. Myers did do really well in that debut. BTJ is back, hopefully. then I think the Jaguars, because they do try to push the ball down the field, if they have success, is going to lead to some points. And I think the Jaguars, I'm absolutely not sold on their defense. I think that Brissett is capable of putting a back-to-back, like Unk still has it kind of game, and leads this team without Marv. We saw what Michael Wilson did against the Niners. Like, I don't think that, obviously, I don't expect a 15-catch, 150-yard game again, but I think that Jonathan Gannon and co, knowing that the Jaguars built to stop the run, being still, in my opinion, like a smarter analytical team, is going to still like open it up. Like the Jaguars, again, we saw Davis Mills put up some good points against them. I think that the Cardinals are going to be able to score. And I think that Jacksonville is also going to be able to score.
Time of possession, though. Jacksonville has the fourth most time of possession on offense. They're averaging over 32 minutes of possession per game this year. That's where the angle is coming from. Like, they're going to control the game. And yeah, Trevor Lawrence does do stupid stuff, but they're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball, and there's not going to be anything Arizona's going to be able to do about it.
We'll see. Again, like, I'm not putting my money in my mouth this year because I'm really not that confident, but I do think that even the line being 3, like this to me isn't a wrong team favored, but like 3 points for Arizona. Like, I'm staring at this like a little bit like, holy shit. Like, I think I might like 2 things. I might like the Cardinals plus the points. Honestly, I might like the Cardinals outright here. And
he's whipping up a whole same game parlay on stream right now, guys. Take notes.
I'm like, I'm getting the juices are flowing there in this one, but we'll see what I end up betting. Of course, I stream tomorrow, I stream Sunday, and I want to stream Fridays, but I've been not doing that. But with that being said, I still stream 4 days a week. And by Sunday stream, will absolutely be either in or out on this. So make sure you guys tune in. Let's keep ripping here. Falcons Saints, the Tyler Shook era well underway, and the Michael Penix era in Atlanta on halt, as he is now out with a torn ACL again. I think a partially torn ACL, regardless, out for the season. The Saints, in their last one, they did beat the Panthers on the road. Then they went on the bye. Atlanta lost Penix and lost to the Panthers, which I had Panthers +4. So never want to see everybody get hurt, but nice to have that come through on Sunday. Tyler Shook looks pretty solid. There were some analysts who liked them, and this is a spread has moved a lot, obviously, with the injury report. But Jake, the New Orleans Saints are favorites right now, and
to
me, that's got to be a bit crazy. I know Drake London is also questionable, but like Kirk Cousins is not bad at football. I mean, London's actually doubtful.
Yeah, I don't think Drake London's playing.
Yeah, so Drake London doubtful. Obviously, the 2 biggest weapons outside of Bijan, who can still feed him 21 times in the air and on the ground and run over the Saints. This is, to me, a little bit interesting, man. Saints.
Well, I'll let you dive in because this is my no comment game of the week. I got absolutely nothing. I hate these games where stars go out for the season. You're dealing with backup quarterbacks. There's bad teams involved. There's rookie quarterbacks involved. Bad defenses, and not that Atlanta's defense is bad, but New Orleans is pretty bad. No comment. No comment of the game week for me.
So I'm going to do a quick look here and see what Shug's props are at, just out of curiosity here, because my first thought is there's no way. My first thought are 2 things. One, there's no way Kirk Cousins is that big of a downgrade to Michael Penix, as Penix has been pretty bad for a majority of this year.
I agree.
And number 2 is similar to the Tyrod versus like Fields thing. Obviously, this is like not the same, but like the same in the sense where like you like Breece Hall because you expect the veteran to like be smart and give the ball to the best player. I think Kirk Cousins is smarter than Tyrod Taylor, and I think Kirk Cousins knows that he has Bijan Robinson. I wouldn't be surprised if they give the ball to Bijan Robinson 25 times between the ground and the air here. Shug's passing prop is only 200 yards, put up the 282 against Carolina. But again, like, yes, the Panthers are so polarizing. They win games you think they're going to lose. They lose games you think they're going to win this year. But I think that's more of like a young, bad team just like being inconsistent rather than like the Saints actually like showing something. Though I do think, again, Shook does deserve credit and like, hopefully he has a good career. I got nothing against Tyler Shook. But as it stands, I have to do a little bit more deep dive. And again, I'll be on stream tomorrow, Friday, Sunday. I am very tempted in Atlanta plus 110. I just don't think that Kirk Cousins is a big downgrade. And I think that this is a possibility to just give the ball to Bijan Robinson 25 times. The Saints are not going to be able to stop it. Darnell Mooney as well. he has such a low catch rate because Michael Penix throws bad footballs. Like, yes, no, London is a big factor because London's a top 10 receiver in football. All in all, though, I still can't get to the Saints being favorites. Again, AFC South, not NFC South nonsense in division. Things are going to happen here. But as it stands, I think Atlanta might just be. I think
Can you
it's
look
a
at
square
something for me,
thought.
Eric? Is there any Algier lines out or Michael Pitts?
Okay, let's see, Tyler.
Who else?
Tyler Algier. Let's see. Yep, touchdowns 2-1, 275, 365. So if you're 365, better. Just looking at the market, like that's an auto bet. Only a touchdown for Algier. And who else did you want to say? Pitts?
Kyle Pitts. Or is there any yard props out for Algier too? I know you.
No, Algier is just touchdown. Okay. Pitts, we have 49.5 receiving yards available. Touchdown, 275 DK. Receptions, no receptions, just rec yards.
Yeah, I'd eye those two things up. I think everyone's going to think what we're thinking, though. Like, Bijan's going to have a day. Kirk loves throwing to his tight ends, first of all. And Algier is still very capable of breaking some big runs. Like, we are talking about the New Orleans defense still. If there was anything that I'm going to target, it would be some sort of – wouldn't consider them a fully role player prop, but like Algier is kind of a role player. But Pitts could be a bigger factor with Drake London out. So keep an eye on those, I guess.
I'm interested in Mooney because, again, his catch rate has been so low that it's going to have to finally come together here. His number has been adjusted without Pitts, 47.5. But looking at this chart, the real chart to me is the 4.5 targets a game and the limited receptions because of the lack of catchable passes. And I think that Darnell Mooney is a good football player against the Saints defense. So that'll be one to watch overall. I'll have stronger thoughts again on stream Sunday and Friday and tomorrow. So circle back there, but interesting to me. But let's keep ripping. 3 games left. Birds, Eagles. Philly beating the
Birds, Lions. Eagles.
Birds, Eagles. Birds, boys. In Dallas this time. Cowboys' first home game since their defensive player unfortunately took his own life. So I think that we saw a lot of the ceremonies in the last 2 weeks, especially on Monday. But this is the first game in Jerry World. After that, Birds beating the Lions, Cowboys beating the Raiders. These two teams played a close one. All the talk about the Bird offense and how shitty it is. A.J. Brown pissed off. Devonta Smith pissed off. Jake, 3.5 points is all we're getting. Is all we're laying with Philly. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, my thoughts. You're Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown. You're coming off of a Super Bowl win. You're one of the best teams in the league. You just played 2 games versus 2 really good teams, and you won. Like, grow up, man. Like, what? Look at all these other teams and all these other studs that are on these teams that are – look at a Jamar Chase. Look at these guys that are on 3-win teams, and they suck. And you're sitting there complaining because you're winning games. Like, who cares, man? Like, grow up. You're getting paid millions of dollars to play football, and you're a Super Bowl champion. And you're probably you're on pace to head back there this season. So, like, save it. Like, that shit pisses me off. Anyways, on the Philly side, I think that they should have their way on offense here. I think it's very clear. I think even in the first matchup going back to week 1, before that rain delay, everyone was cruising. I mean, I don't think anyone scored after the rain delay. I remember specifically I had the over of 44.5 or 46.5, and they were at 44 like at halftime, and they didn't score another point, so that sucked. But Dallas, they may not have given up many touchdowns versus the Raiders, but the Raiders last week were moving the ball up and down the field. They just couldn't finish drives. They had to kick a bunch of field goals. This is a different animal with Philly. They're going to be able to put the ball in the end zone. And prior to Vegas, I don't have to talk about how bad Dallas's defense is, but they gave up 27 versus Arizona, 44 versus Denver, 22 versus Washington, 30 versus Carolina. Like, I can go all the way down the schedule and go over all the points that they gave up versus bad offenses or offenses not at the caliber of Philly. Philly's by far the best offense that they've seen all season, other than Philly in week 1. So here's Philly. I think they're going to put up a decently big number. And then on the Dallas side, man, when this offense is healthy, they they are a top 5, top 6 offense in the league, in my opinion. Like
closer to 3.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's gonna always be haters out there, but top 5, I think it's safe to say they're top 5.
Undoubtedly.
There's just also a lot of good offenses. Like it's hard, like Dallas or Buffalo. Like who
I think it's Indianapolis, Buffalo, Dallas, or in that order. Tier, if you want to tier it, I think that's the top 3, like undeniably. I'm pulling up RBDSM.
No New England.
No, I don't think so.
Well, that's the thing. All right, that's why I put them in top 5, because they're definitely top 5. And Pickens, dude, this guy has really, really come on ever since CD got hurt. Like I remember in the beginning of the season, another guy that I have on fantasy, I was like, oh, he's going to eat up this year. In the first couple of weeks, he was just shitting the bed. CD gets hurt, and now all of a sudden, even with him back, like him and Dak must have.
He's a dog.
Went and had some backyard catches or something. I don't know, some routes on air, and they were clicking, because even with CD back, it's just opened Pickens up that much more. And I remember when he was in Pittsburgh, I thought he was such a dog. And I was like, this poor guy, he's got no one to throw him the ball. And he's just, even when he was getting the ball thrown to him, he was making the most absurd catches. And now he's got Dak Prescott. Now, I'll give Philly their flowers on defense. Just kind of mentioned they are coming off of games versus good teams. And they've been good versus the pass. And this was versus Green Bay and Detroit, 2 teams that are good at throwing the ball. So I'll give them their flowers. I have a best bet here. It's the first half over 24 even. Not even money. I got it at -112 on Caesars. I hope it's still there. But yeah, 24 even. I don't mind a 24.5. Obviously, 24 is a key number. So would really prefer the 24. I put 1 unit on it. I think both of these offenses are able to move the ball, especially in the first half. If there are any adjustments made, they're probably going to be in the second half to stop either side. I mean, I don't think Dallas knows how to make a halftime adjustment on defense, but on the Philly side, they might be able to. And Dallas was able to move the ball on them in the first half in week 1 too. I know it was quite some time ago, but I think 24 is way too low. And both of these teams, if they take the lead, I think they really try to slow things down on the ground. So I didn't want to take any risks with the full game. So first half over 24 for me.
Yeah, no disagreements from me here. I think it's a very interesting price overall. I think Dallas is honestly absolutely live in this one. I do agree with your like AJ Brown, Devonta Smith take, where it's like, chill. You guys are winning Super Bowls. Like, you guys are one of the best teams in football. Like, it is what it is. Like, I think that just comes back to the fact that Jalen Hurts is like not even league average. He's probably like below league average. He's like bad. Jalen Hurts. They find ways to win because they're a well-coached team on both sides of the ball. They obviously have talent. And then the Lane Johnson injury is also going to be massive. I feel like this is one of the most underrated things. And like, I forgot the exact stat, but it went around a lot, last season and last couple seasons where the birds go from like, I'm quoting these are made up numbers. Don't quote me on them, but like say their win percentage is like 75% with Lane Johnson, and without him, it's like 50 or something like that. Like the drop off is that drastic is the point of that, of bringing that up here. And he's not playing. He's doubtful. It's crazy how a right tackle does that. But when you're a Hall of Famer at any position, I guess it really does make those big of a differences there. I'm going to need to like do a bit more of a deep dive. I'll have more thoughts on stream tomorrow, Friday, Sunday for me. But I think Dallas, first initial thoughts are Dallas could definitely be live here because this offense can be humming. Jalen Hurts, because again, this is what I wanted to mention. The Dallas offense in that week 1 game, if I'm not mistaken, they played like entirely zone defense, the entire first game, entirely game plan specific for Jalen Hurts and co. Because Jalen Hurts is successful in man coverage when it's just like one-on-one go balls. They just throw it to the outside to Devonta or AJ. They have success. Jalen Hurts is allergic to the middle of the field. Does not throw the football in the middle of the field, and like that is something that you can eventually like scheme and game plan against. I do expect the Cowboys to deploy a similar game plan than they did as week 1, even though they lost. Kept that game very close, and I think that this time in Jerry World, still with like the defensive presence of like the loss they had, as much as this is narrative street, I think it does absolutely have a bit of a factor here, and I think Dallas is more than live in this one and can keep this one close here. But we got 2 more games left, both prime time. Buccaneers, Rams, arguably another one of the game of the weeks here. Rams did not play their best game, but they squeaked out a win against Seattle as they turned over Darnold 4 times. Buccaneers go to Buffalo and get smoked, which is what most teams do when they go to Buffalo. With that being said, now the Buccaneers 6-4, absolutely on fraud watch after the Baker MVP's chance to start the season. The Rams are on Super Bowl watch. Dogs, amazing team. 6.5 points, Jake. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are Tampa Bay is going to run into a brick wall called the Rams defense on Sunday night. I'll tell you that much. And it looks like the books agree with me because, I mean, it's a 6.5 point line. Tampa Bay's team total is set at 20.5. And I'm all over that under, honestly. I have a best bet, and I'm taking Tampa Bay team total under 20.5 at -108 on DraftKings. I'm really not that impressed with them hanging 33 points on Buffalo because Buffalo defense stinks. We talked about that earlier. New England really shut them down the week before that. Tampa Bay scored with 33 seconds to get to 23. They had 23 versus New Orleans. Not impressive to me, not comparable to the Rams, even though I know it's over the 20 number. 9 versus Detroit. And the Rams defense is much better than all of those except for maybe New England. And I would even give them the benefit of the doubt comparing those two defenses. So I think Tampa Bay under 20.5 points. I think that's a great play. I think Baker is really starting to miss some of his pieces. I think Bucky Irving is doubtful. I know that he was questionable going into this week. There's rumors of him playing, but I'm pretty sure he's not. What does that say?
He's ramping up his reps at practice to test his availability for Sunday's game versus the Rams.
Yeah, I saw the same thing. I don't know. Whether he plays or not, it's not like their run game was anything special when he was there. Obviously, he's a good piece. I also think that I love Emeka. I think he's a stud, but he's really slowed down too. I think it's easy to game plan for a guy like him when there is no Mike Evans or Chris Godwin or these other guys to take away the attention. So I think we've seen it too. Again, the Buffalo 33 points isn't that impressive to me. I mean, scoring 33 points is good regardless, but when you're in that type of environment, shootout where you have to be throwing the ball, like you're going to score, especially against a bad defense. So I think Tampa Bay team total under 20.5 is a good spot here in a prime time. Everyone's going to expect fireworks, and I think this Rams defense is going to have other things to say about that.
No, it's a good point because this is like one of the better teams the Rams have faced, as we know, because this Baltimore game was not Lamar. They played Philly, they played Indy, and then Seattle. It's like the best teams that they played, and that game flew under with Darnold throwing the 4 picks. And I think Baker Mayfield is also absolutely live to throw some turnovers as well with what the Rams are throwing at the Bucs. And like, it's not just the injuries to the receivers, Jake. To me, I think the offensive line injuries that Tampa Bay suffered and were able to like somehow still win games early are finally now really like catching up to them as well in the last couple of weeks. And if you're doing that against the Rams defensive front seven, which is one of the best in football, like good luck. I think that it's going to be, leading to a lot more of like Baker Mayfield issues. I actually lean the full game under. After hearing you talk about it, I think that your thoughts on Baker going under make sense. I also think that while the Buccaneers secondary is definitely beatable, we know Kyron Williams is capable of running the ball. He did it on a great Seattle defense as well. And this rushing yards per game, we've seen the Buccaneers get torn up on the ground against like good rushing teams. So I think that this might be a little bit too high. And I agree that like the sentiment is probably like two heavyweights going at it. We're going to see some points, some fireworks in a shootout. But I actually think this is a game that's actually tailored more toward the under here.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Prime time too. Everyone thinks we're going to get lucky at prime time every single time. There's going to be fireworks, especially with two offenses like this. But I think it might be quite the opposite.
I agree. And everyone wants to like cook their SGPs and et cetera.
Yeah.
All overs and alternates and whatnot. But I think we could be in for an under one there. But Jake, let's wrap up here. The 6-5 Carolina Panthers head to the Bay. Take on the 7-4 Niners. Panthers coming off a win against Atlanta. I had Panthers +4. That was fun. Niners coming off a win against the Cardinals. We obviously spoke about that game in detail when we talked about the Cardinals there. I had the Niners and some money line parlays that lost when the Chiefs lost. Niners laying 7. The Panthers' MO this season, Jake, I want to just take a quick look at this all.
Yeah.
They get blown out against the Jaguars. They make it close against the Cardinals. They blow out the Falcons, get blown out by the Patriots, beat the Dolphins, beat the Cowboys, beat the Jets, get destroyed by the Bills, beat the Packers, lose to the Saints, beat the Falcons. This is kind of what I'm saying is with this young, not that talented team, they're so inconsistent. And now they're going against the Niners, getting 7 points. We're coming off a Brock Purdy now being healthy. Yes, their defense got shredded, but they put up a 41 piece. Lost to the Rams the week before, which is like really not that embarrassing to get smoked by one of the best teams in football. Then before that, they beat the crap out of the Giants. Jake, 7 points, though, to me seems like a lot, but I think this is a situation where the ebbs and flows, like not trying to like talk about trends or things that don't really matter. But I think, as we know, in the roller coaster of the National Football League season, especially with a team that's built like this, they're up here, and the natural dip is there, which is why I think this number of 7 makes sense, and why I'm actually inclined to lay it with the Niners as well.
Interesting. Well, I think I'll give a compelling reason to take the points with Carolina. I'll start by saying I did not take anything in this game as of right now. I do think, though, Carolina is going to see some success on offense. I think we're forgetting that Bryce Young is also coming off of a career high. He had a great game versus San Fran pass defense that is bottom 5 in the league in opponent passer rating. So I think he might be able to have some success. And this Carolina team has also showed signs of being super explosive with McMillan and Leggett and the running backs that they have. We saw Hubbard actually be a little more efficient last week than Rico, but still, those are 2 good backs. That's a good 1-2 punch to have back there. San Fran now has been better than the run than they have versus the pass, but we've seen this Carolina rushing come a little more down to earth, I would say. However, that was versus an Atlanta run defense last week. That's a good run defense. So I don't know how to take that, but I think Carolina definitely is going to have some success to an extent on offense. And then San Fran, again, like now we have Brock Purdy back, who it's hard to gauge this season. He had a good game last week, but like nothing crazy, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, like typical Brock Purdy game, in my opinion. And he's good with his weapons being healthy, which they are. I think Pearsall is back. We saw Kittle have a really good game. It looked like that they didn't skip a beat. We know McCaffrey's there, and he does everything, and he's a stud. Carolina's pass defense has been pretty good all season, though. So it's not like they're some pushover pass defense. Then San Fran, where they aren't that good, is defending the run, but San Fran hasn't been able to run the ball all season. So 7, I think the line should be closer to 6, honestly. I'm not saying Carolina is live by any means. If I had to choose, though, I'm taking Carolina with the points. You're giving me a touchdown in a game that I think is a little more evenly matched than a touchdown differentiation here. So that's where I stand. Nothing crazy. Didn't lock anything in, but yeah, I wouldn't mind Carolina +7. If it goes to +7.5, I might be a little quicker to pull the trigger.
Yeah, I'm the other way, where if it goes to 6.5, I'm like no hesitation laying it with the Niners. And the one thing I will say is what the Panthers were able to do against Miami and Dallas, bad defenses, like the Niners are a bad defense. I'm looking right now, and I'll flip the screen here. Drop back success rate, Niners 30th in the NFL on defense. EPA per play, 25th. Success rate on defense, 30th. Drop back EPA on defense, 29th. Like, this is a horrible defense. Like, make no mistake about it. But we've talked about this a few times, Jake, where the Panthers are built to run the football. That's what they do. That's what they want to do. That's how they built their team, from their running backs to their offensive line. And Bryce Young's game last week was a pure anomaly, right? Like, you can't – the same way, like, we're talking about Brissett and his records. Bryce Young sets a passing yard record. Like, that's just never happening.
Yeah, he's not doing it back-to-back.
But what it comes down to me and why I like the Niners is, like, the same way the Panthers were able to beat, again, these teams by playing keep away. But running the football, picking up yards, chewing clock, making the plays that need to be played. The Niners can do that, but better. They have Rico Dowdle, who's having a great season. I want to take a single thing away from Rico Dowdle. Guys have Christian McCaffrey. You have Bryce Young, who's made some plays here and there with his legs and in the air. You have Brock Purdy, who does the same thing his entire career, who is better. You talk about weapons. Ted McMillan's probably the best receiver in this game, but you have a full core of weapons: McCaffrey, Kittle, Jennings, Pearsall, et cetera, points to the Niners. So I can see Dave Canales having a good game plan. I can see the Panthers putting up points. I don't expect a Buffalo style game here. And that's honestly probably does lean more toward your 7 because how are you going to win by margin if you're just going to stick to the run game? But I think this does actually shape up more so closer to what happened against New England and Buffalo rather than against the Jets or Dallas or even Green Bay for that matter, where the strengths of both teams, the Niners are just still better at all of them, and not just from a scheme, from a talent, there's better players. And I think that, again, if it comes down to we're going to both run the football and bring this game down to as low as it possibly can, I think that and make throws that need to be made. I'm betting on Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy to do that and win by margin than I would rather bet on Bryce Young and Rico Dowdle and co to end up doing that.
No, yeah, I understand that. But again, 7, listen, if it goes to 6.5, no shot I'm taking it. So we're on slight opposite sides, but also in agreement where it has to be the right number. That's why they're favorites. That's why San Fran's a touchdown favorite right now is they are the better team. They do have the better players. They do have more experience. But I also agree, they're both going to try to chew up clock. And I said it earlier, in those instances, I think it was the Buffalo game we were talking about. I typically like to take the teams that are getting the points, especially if it's a touchdown or close to it. So we'll see if it goes to 7.5 and money comes in on San Fran. We got time. It's 5 days to pull the trigger or to just lay off of it. So, no, we're on opposite sides, but no crazy disagreements. I feel like we both are in agreement to disagree here.
Not for sure, because again, your points are absolutely valid and they make sense. And what I'm saying is a little contradictory because the kind of game I expect is a tough game to win by margin. But 7 points, it's a full touchdown.
But I'm having deja vu for when I remember when we had this conversation. It was New England versus Carolina, and Carolina was
Buffalo. It was the Buffalo.
Oh, it was Buffalo. That's right. And I was I love Carolina. 7.5. Give me that all day. Favorite play of the week. We butted heads there, and so that's why I'm a little more hesitant now to be listen, I've seen this story unfold, and it did not work in my favor.
It's all in the game. And again, I just want to say quickly for everybody listening, the fact that Jake and I are squabbling over a half a point on what makes a difference is because that's what matters in the National Football League. Between 6.5 and 7.5, 6.5 and 6, 7 and 7.5 is massive, boys. Never underestimate that. And from a sharp, legitimate, professional, better perspective, that half point is the difference between putting a $100,000 bet on a side versus not betting a side is a half point. That's how serious these numbers are. Hence why we always preach line shopping, look for the best odds available, and use Outlier to help us find them. So if you guys want to try Outlier, scan the QR code in the top right. Under the tweet, I have a link. You can click that for a 7-day free trial. If you're watching on YouTube, link in the description. 7-day free trial. Test it out if you want to. But that's the slate. Let's run through our plays. Full card for the Thursday night game. Jake's on officially under 43.5. Bills first half minus 3.5. I'm on Houston plus 6. Jake, did you bet the over in Steelers Bears? That's a lean.
It's a lean.
Lean for Jake over 45.5. Jake bet though Packers minus 6. Me bet Indianapolis plus 3.5. Jake leaner bet on Patriots Bengals over.
That's a bet. I think I got it at. Yeah, I think I got it at 50, so 49.5 is even better.
Jake on Patriots Bengals over 49.5. I think we both agree lean Detroit minus 10. Jake lean Seattle Seahawks over 26.5 team total. Me, 2 best bets, Vegas minus 3.5, Vegas minus 13.5. Jake, best bet, Jaguars Cardinals under 47.5. Jake, best bet, Eagles Cowboys first half total over 24.5. Jake, best bet, Buccaneers team total under 40.5. Me, lean Buccaneers, Rams under 49.5. And me, strong lean San Francisco minus 7. I'll call it because that's the best price. Hard Rock's 120. I would probably bet that at Hard Rock, not widely available. So this is still a lean for me. But again, like Jake said, I'll be on stream 4 different times before this game goes live.
Yeah,
so we'll see
we got
how
time, boys.
Going. And Jake also has the best bet on Breece Hall over 80.5 rushing and receiving yards. So Boys, that's the Week 12 card for now. If you want to stay tuned again, I'll be streaming a couple more times this week. You can follow Jake at Money Badger Bets on X. Follow me at Go Bet Smart. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button from the stream. It really does help the channel grow, and hit that subscribe button. It is both greatly appreciated. We'll see you guys next time, and best of luck with your bets this week. Peace, boys.